And hello again, everybody. I'm Nick Sanchez, and this is RT America. There is a movement afoot, and this movement goes way beyond Trumpism. Well, this weekend, we saw the rise of nationalist movements, both in Brazil, the country with the 8th largest economy in the world, and in Germany, where Angela Merkel's Union Party was outgained by the AfD, a far-right alternative party. Now, here's what's interesting about this. In Brazil, the nationalist movement is all about the election of a brand new president. His name is Jair Bolsonaro. He won with 55% of the vote. Now, why did he win? This one is in large measure brought about by a recession, political turmoil, and a massive corruption scandal in that country. We don't know how Bolsonaro will govern, but his tone has been consistently hostile toward blacks and gays and women and indigenous people. As for Germany and of this latest election there, the message is clear. The country is moving to the right. The main reason? An anti-immigrant fervor that creates easy pickings, really, for any candidate with a nationalist or a populist message. Now, here's the irony about this, and this is important. Wars in places like Iraq and in Syria, created or indulged by countries like Great Britain and Germany and France and the United States, are now causing political repercussion in all of these countries. Why? Well, because immigrants from places like Iraq and Syria are pouring over the borders. Is this in some way the fulfillment of a proverbial expression? Are the chickens truly coming home to roost? We have two reports. RT's Nick Sanchez O'Donovan, he heads our coverage on Latin America, while Peter Oliver is going to bring us the very latest from Germany. But we're going to begin with your nightly list. This is RT America. This massive nationalistic drift to the right. And what's interesting about this, as we examine it, is it's not only happening in Europe, it's happening in Latin America as well, to the surprise of many. Germany and Brazil are the two biggest economies in their respective continents. Now, the idea is that as goes Germany, as goes Brazil, so goes Europe and South America, respectively. The story of rising nationalism has been a topic that we have covered here at RT America repeatedly. And we believe it's only going to become an even more significant story. That's why we were promising to continue to bring you the very latest, not just on domestic politics, but on crucial world political news that can impact our allies and neighbors, relations with them, and ourselves. One other thing, we do it here to try and define the root cause of the movement as well, because we think it's not just about telling you the story, but as we've said again and again, how'd we get here? First, Peter Oliver with the latest out of Germany.
Well, the state elections in Hesse came down to good old-fashioned winners and losers. In the winners' enclosure, well, amongst them certainly Alternative for Germany, the AfD entering the state parliament in Hesse for the first time. Hesse, interestingly enough, the state where the party was first conceived and the idea founded back in 2013. Well, they've taken around 13% of the vote. They'll take up their first seats there, and that means they have representation in all of the local parliaments, all of the state parliaments across Germany, and of course the national parliament, the Bundestag. AfD party leadership understandably happy at the result.
With the People's Party, the AfD is now represented in every German region after the great success in Hesse.
Also big winners on the night were the Green Party. They've continued momentum that they've, well, generated over the past few months. It really is quite a surprise if you cast your mind back just over a year ago in the general election here in Germany. The Greens limped over the line into the Bundestag. Now we've seen them, well, make great grounds in local elections in Bavaria. They've just done the same thing in Hesse and look like they will be a key part in forming the local government there. But where there's winners, there has to be losers. And in this case, the losers again were the parties representing the ruling Grand Coalition, Angela Merkel's Christian Democratic Union and the Social Democratic Party. Both dropped around 10% in the polls, those votes going either to the Greens or to Alternative for Germany for the most part. What we have seen, though, is the people turning away on a local level from problems they see on a national level. And it's not just voters that have been saying this.
The state of the government is unacceptable. We therefore expect the CDU to take appropriate action.
This evening there was a very mixed message. Hesse wants the Christian Democratic Union to continue leading this state, but many people have shown during this election that it must be different, not in Hesse, but in Berlin.
Well, the suggestion there that there really needs to be a change at the top, that it's Angela Merkel in Berlin that's causing the problems that we're seeing reflected on local governments in the 16 German states. Don't get me wrong, though, this is no way going to be the result that topples Angela Merkel. However, it could be one of the 1,000 cuts that may eventually lead to her political demise.
In fact, if you looked at what happened in Germany, it was like reciprocal. I mean, if this is the Nationalist Party and this is the Union, Merkel's party, you could almost see it went this way. It was like the exact amount that went up went down for her. Not good news. By the way, at 8 o'clock, we're going to do something special for you. We're going to break down the cause of this. You know, I think I mentioned at the beginning something that we said was a famous kind of proverbial expression, the chickens come home to roost. Have the chickens come home to roost? And if so, what caused it? How did we get from here to here where we are right now? What seems to be almost a global nationalist movement. We're going to try and define that for you. Make sure you join us here tonight at 8 o'clock. Now, let's continue this coverage, by the way, and let's go now from Europe to Latin America. Nick Sanchez O'Donovan reporting from Miami with the very latest on this really, no other word for it, shocking nationalist victory in Brazil.
A new era has officially started in Brazil, as expected. Far-right and former army captain Jair Bolsonaro won Brazil's presidential election with 55.1% of the votes against 4.9% for Fernando Haddad from the Workers' Party, the PT. Bolsonaro defines himself as a political outsider despite a 27-year career in Congress, and his entire campaign evolved around the widespread anger at the political class after years of corruption, an economy that has struggled to recover after a punishing recession and surge in violence. In his acceptance speech, he vowed to carry out his campaign promises and to end corruption after years of leftist rule. Bolsonaro also said that the country can no longer continue flirting with communism. While half of Brazil celebrated, we actually saw thousands of people in the streets of Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, and other major cities. The other half of the country fears a setback in social rights, economic justice, and equality. The markets, on the other hand, well, they reacted very favorably to Bolsonaro's victory. Brazilian stocks jumped to the highest level on record this Monday. We can't forget that Bolsonaro is considered a pro-free market environment, and he could trigger, or he will trigger actually, moves to privatize some of Latin America's biggest companies. He is also expected to implement broader fiscal reforms in Latin America's biggest economy, and to lead this strategy, he would most likely appoint the highly respected Paulo Guedes. Remember that name because he is going to be the country's top finance position.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.